Hi, this is Barry Kitson. You may remember me from such titles as The Adventures of Superman. I'd love to recommend that you listen to Pino Comics. I would love to, I just can't.
Hi there, this is John from Pino Comics.
This is the other John from Pino Comics.
And we just wanted to warn you before you tune into our quite excellent show that we may or may not use, what type of term would you use for the language, John?
Swearing with flair.
Swearing with flair.
Colorful language.
Colorful language.
Or just plain out, I don't know.
Gutter talk.
Gutter talk, there we go.
You've been warned. Listen in. So you're back with another episode of Pino Comics, and I didn't get to record it, but we were doing our little pre-show, warm-ups, la 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 la,
No.
the Human Torch, and all that stuff.
What?
And Lou, what did you just say to John?
I said his voice is oddly sexy in these headphones.
Just in the headphones.
Just in the headphones.
Which is disturbing, and I don't know why.
It is disturbing. It is a little disturbing.
It's smooth. You're like a white Billy D. Williams.
Oh, Colt 42?
Yeah, Colt 42.
He's just 3 points off.
No, that would be Schlitz malt liquor.
It's malt liquor. I'd like to see a
Like
remake.
a bowl in a china shop.
I'd like to see
You just say, hello, what have we here?
You truly belong. What was it? Belong with us
Belong
amongst the stars.
the stars.
Oh, God.
How bad did Lando want to fuck Leia? Like, so bad.
I think he just wanted revenge for Han taking the Falcon from him.
Probably.
He's like, I'm going to bang your woman now.
Probably.
I'm going to go bang your woman in the Falcon.
Nothing's been the same since I learned that Lando was fucking his robot. She says it. It's a line in the movie.
No. She says, sometimes I think about it, but how would it work?
It's implied.
No.
That's it.
There's the chick from Game of Thrones
it's
says,
implied.
the chick of Game of Thrones says, how would that work? And she says, oh, trust me, it does.
Yeah, but that's just implied.
Yeah, I think that's implied. I think
that's
a
more
stretch
than we
now.
need to even deal with.
If you don't know what we're talking about, in Solo, a Star Wars story, one of the reasons it tanked so badly at the box office,
which is a great movie,
and it wasn't a bad movie. I'm not going to go great. I'm going to go with much better than the crap it gets. That movie completely paid for The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
The hatred that it got was due to the backlash of The Last Jedi.
Hey, John, look, it's a Star Wars show.
No, it's not. We're moving on from that.
Notice how I'm not saying anything.
I do want to say this, though, to the listeners of Pino Comics.
No.
We're going to be doing a couple of shows coming up pretty soon. I talked to Lou about it earlier today. I talked to John about it earlier today. We're going to do 2 separate Quiz Bowl type shows. One of them is going to be based on a Star Wars trivia game. The other one's going to be based on a Marvel Comics trivia game. Lou will be hosting both. And John and I will be competing.
A Dago with a mustache holding a card.
and we will be picking.
Wow.
We will be picking one other friend.
Saturday Night Live, dude.
Yeah, it's Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
Your mother. We will be picking one other friend of the show to be competing against us. So that'll be quite fun. And Lou is going to be getting his great game show voice going.
Damn right.
And I'm sure he's going to probably have. I'm sure he's going to have some judgments he'll have to make if we say something a little bit wrong or spell something wrong.
It's the moops.
there may or may not be fighting to settle a card.
There's always chance for fights. Always chance
fist
for
fights.
So guys, what's going on? Lou, you haven't been on the show in a while. I think have you been off since the Last Jedi show?
Yeah.
That was a lot of fucking anger.
I'm generally
long?
hanging out in the back and I'm typing now.
Yeah, if you and a couple of the last couple episodes, if you hear like typing in the background, that's all Lou writing up articles. What were you writing tonight? What article were you gonna be looking forward to?
Black Ops 4.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So you're our game guy, our game editor. You play a million games, but you've never really gotten into Call of Duty.
No. I really have.
If I'm correct, being kind of a neophyte with games, that's like the most that's like the biggest franchise out there, right? For
it's
video
been
games.
going for 15 years.
But I'm saying that's like
it's one of them.
Right.
Absolutely. The thing with me is I'm not a huge PvP player.
Player versus player.
Okay. And I'm not a huge PvP player, as I write in there. Not too many spoilers, but the general draw of Call of Duty is its PvP.
Well, I mean, everybody likes to have a 7-year-old kid in Arkansas telling you you're a cunt.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tell them they fuck your mother.
And then they have those 7-year-old reflexes too, whereas when you start getting up in towards 40, they start to deteriorate. Yeah. So, it's a Twitch-based shooter, and it was never my bag. And
so you know what I like about you right now is like you're getting into your milieu, because I don't know what the fuck a Twitch-based shooter is.
Milieu. Look at you with your language and your vocabulary.
Well, it's the gamer part of you.
When I say Twitch-based shooter, I mean very high reflexes, very high skill ceiling, and it's very often it's who shoots first wins.
Okay.
So it's all about getting the drop on your opponent and just having quicker reflexes, which kids nowadays, they're raised on video games.
Now,
So by the time they're 10 or 11 years old, they have these hand-eye coordination that, when you get towards 40, it deteriorates. It's like anything else with age. It just starts to go away.
Except then when life happens, they can't deal with that, though.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like when they lose, what they do is they break their controller, whereas an adult, when they lose, they just go, man, I lost. That's, so there's positives and negatives.
All right. Well, I was a little sad. I want to bring this up. I want to talk about it, even though we had a whole show about it a couple weeks ago. We were at BingCon on Saturday of this last week, and I was hoping to see you there, and you didn't come up.
My daughter was in Indianapolis, and I had to go to the airport to pick her up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's as good an excuse as any.
Yeah.
What was it, a VOAG thing? I know
Yeah, it was the VOAG thing.
FFA stuff.
Yeah, she was in Indianapolis, Indiana at the National Convention.
Wow. What did she do out in Indianapolis for fun?
I think partied for 4 days.
You think so? She's
I
in
think
high
so.
school now.
I mean, like it was basically for her 4 days of.
Did she smell like beer when she came off the plane?
No.
No?
She smelled like tired.
Yeah.
I guess, just tired and beaten down.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? When we were at BingCon,
Comic-Con.
while you went wandering off with Evan Kyle, I was talking to his dad for quite a while, and his dad was telling me all about VOAG that Evan Kyle is in.
Yeah, well, Evan is a Boy Scout.
And is and it's such a big deal. And we got into this whole discussion about VOAG and how different it is now compared to when I was in high school, when there was one kid, maybe two, and they couldn't get anybody to do anything because it was the FFA, the Future Farmers.
Right.
Well, it actually doesn't stand for that anymore.
Right, which is what he was telling me.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much bigger, and they were, and some of the things that they're getting into, and I was like, well, why didn't I do it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. She actually is like the FFA is like the all encompassing thing for the VOAG program she's in. She's actually in wildlife biology, so she's not even in what would traditionally be the farming end or the agriculture end.
And that's what Evan Kyle's dad was telling me. Yeah, it's stuck. It's stuck.
Yeah.
But he was telling me all about all the things that they do that are way beyond any of your traditional farming stuff that they would teach you back then, or even much further back. The sciences that they're bringing into it, and they're getting into aquaculture and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like,
they have equestrian, aquaculture, like the wildlife biology program. They have ag mechanics.
Yeah.
So these kids are working on tractors and diesel engines and everything else.
Everything.
Yeah, it's a crazy program. They have small animal get their hands dirty, so to speak, with veterinary medicine, things such as that.
Well, I remember there was an animal husbandry portion of the VOAG then. But this was all, you're talking cows, sheep, and goats. Nothing like they're dealing with at this point.
They have a dedicated small animals program that is all like cats, dogs, like regular domesticated animals.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You when you go to the parent teacher things or you go to the stuff, it's pretty crazy. And like you said, I sit there and I go, why wasn't this around when I was in high school?
You know what? I'm Pine Comics.
and I guess they're turning kids away. It's for some of the certain locations.
I'll tell you, specialized.
Now we're doing FFA ads.
I know, really. Pine Comics.
This show started off the rails. We didn't even start on a rail and then get off of it. When she was going in as a freshman, and we had to go to the first thing. The way it works is because Lyman Hall is the ag program for basically the state. I'm sure there's other schools. I mean, I'm sure my daughter's gonna, when she hears this, she's gonna be yelling at the radio. They pull from all over the place, and in-town kids get priority. Like they have a certain number of spots for in-town kids, and then they have spots for out-of-town kids that they bring them in. And the one thing they stressed above all else when I brought her as a freshman, they said, you must keep your grades up. If you do not keep your grades up, you are out of this program and somebody else is getting it. They do not mess around. It's serious from the jump. No, and you're absolutely right, because the theory on it is there's so many people who want in the program that if there's a kid who is just willfully not doing their work, they're taking a spot that somebody else who really wants to be there will take and go through. And they don't, believe me, they do not mess around with it.
Like I said, far cry from when I was in high
Yeah.
school.
Well, let me tell you something. Here on Pine of Comics, we don't just we're not just going to sit here and talk about whether Lando Calrissian can fuck the robot or not. So
She also saw a Garth Brooks concert while she was out there.
is he still around?
Yeah, he actually she was at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Now, were you at any point did you ever see Garth Brooks and Chris Evans in the same room?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I
Do you
don't.
What is
okay.
this
Does
about?
nobody remembers this?
No. What did we?
Garth Brooks, in like the height of his fame, probably like let's say like the late to mid '90s, when he was like the super country guy of the world, he made an album. Chris Gaines. He made an album under a pseudonym. He wore a wig.
Yeah, that I remember.
You remember that?
Chris Gaines, yeah.
Chris Gaines.
Yeah.
And it was a poppy album.
Yeah.
And but it was
Yeah,
like
the
this
Chris
weird
Evans
thing
thing threw me.
where he never. Yeah, I'm sorry, not Chris Evans. Yeah, 'cause
Chris
Chris Evans
Gaines.
is Captain America.
Yeah.
Chris Gaines.
I was wondering where you're going.
I
with that.
apologize.
no,
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't just pull a random name out. I pulled out an actual person's name, Chris Gaines. So that was really weird.
Now we're good. I mean, she went to. I guess there was at Lucas Oil Stadium. There was a rodeo, and
that sounds about right.
then followed by the Garth Brooks concert.
That sounds about right as well.
So
Was Wyatt Imus there?
I'm not. I'll tell you what. I was texting her the entire time she was there, and I said to her, I am going to utter words to you that I never thought I would ever in my life utter to you. Have fun at the rodeo. Yeah. I mean, like, I never thought those words would ever come out of my mouth to her, or in text format. But I mean, I'm telling my 17-year-old daughter to have fun at a rodeo.
I would think that'd be
fun at
pretty
the
weird to
rodeo.
say that to anybody ever.
Yeah,
you know,
like, have fun at the rodeo.
have fun at the rodeo, there, Tex.
Yeah, pretty much. But hey, you know what? She had a hell of a time, and I'll tell you, they put on a show.
Well, I mean, the rodeo.
It's an event.
Yeah, I mean,
I think she said like 70,000 people.
Sure.
It was huge.
Yeah, in Indianapolis. Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
get that. What was that movie about the father and son, the single father with the one son, and he was the rodeo clown, and it was all that big drama because he wasn't the big rodeo hero, he was the clown. You remember that?
No.
I gotta go.
I remember
look
there
that
was
up.
one with Luke Perry as that real life bull rider.
No, this is way before that.
8 seconds, because that was the longest anybody ever, I think, rode this one bull. Luke Perry, right?
Krusty the Clown's brother.
Yeah.
Was this
Sideshow
before
Luke.
or after 90210?
Like right when 90210 was ending, and they were
Yeah.
trying to make him a movie star.
He was just getting to that point, and yeah, for whatever reason, they did that weird rodeo movie.
Do you remember, like, you know how sometimes there's
Went nowhere.
people in movies for bit parts?
Had nothing to do
that
with
always-
Luke Perry's talent.
Yeah.
Luke Perry had talent.
Hey, Luke Perry apparently is doing pretty well. I guess he's one of the stars of Riverdale. He's one of the characters' fathers. Maybe Archie's dad or Jughead's dad. Luke Perry,
Perry,
right?
really?
He
Wow.
was about the same age to play any of those kids' dads.
'Cause-
In 90210.
Yeah,
So-
because the other one who's
So he should
one
be
of
a
the
great-
Hey, man, what was her
Granddad.
name? Gabrielle, whatever.
Oh,
the
man.
one who was like 40 when that show was going on.
Carteris.
She had
Yeah,
leukemia or
Carteris.
something now?
I don't think so.
No.
I hope not.
She was already in her 40s back then.
She was.
Yeah,
She was wicked old. She was.
Wow. I'm 39. You're like, she was in her 40s. She's wicked old.
Wait, you're 39 now, but you're not on a show about fucking 18-year-olds.
No, true.
If you were on a show about 18-year-olds, I would pick you out and go, that fucking dude's way too old.
Wicked old.
Wicked old.
So Luke Perry is apparently the dad on Riverdale to one of the kids, and the other dad, I think maybe Luke Perry might be Jughead's dad, and Skeet Ulrich is Archie's dad, I think.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was reading the cast list.
Jeez.
Molly Ringwald is Archie's mother.
You know, I do remember Molly Ringwald being in the show now that you mention it.
Yeah, I've never
I've
seen it.
never seen it.
So if you listen, if
me
you watch
either.
Ringwald,
I'm watching Sabrina, but I've never watched Riverdale.
I have to
They
honestly
mention
say-
Riverdale.
Oh, so they actually I wonder if they exist in the same
Riverdale.
universe.
I believe they're supposed to because it's a lot of the same people that are on the producers
Right.
and writers.
Well,
on the
getting
shows.
back to BingCon, I sat down.
yeah, getting back to Bing.
Getting back to BingCon.
from Future Farmers of America. I sat down with Joey DiCarlo from So Wizard, and I asked him. I was asking several people that day, like TV shows that you're watching that are really good, and he's a big Riverdale fan. He said it's trash,
Yeah,
but it's trash that I enjoy. And
Apparently,
he,
that's the consensus from a
Yeah.
lot of people. It's trashy but good.
I mean, there was a time in my life, and I'll fully admit this, there was a time in my life where I made fun of John for watching Buffy until I actually sat down and decided to watch it because I thought what I'll do is I'll watch it and then I'll have ammo to make fun of him even more. That was my theory. And then, I fell in love with it. So
Yeah, it
I
happens.
can't, you can't.
There's some shows that sometimes
they just hook you, man.
There's some
They
shows.
hook you.
I was never a huge Friends
That-
fan,
that
but
one
I
hooked-
do like it.
that one
I just
hooked
never
me.
got fully into it.
A friend of mine at the time I had one of my stores. He was recording something else at the same time, so he couldn't record it, and I wasn't doing any of that. So he's like, "Can you record Friends for me?" So I did, and I
Did you
started,
tell him before you recorded? I'll be there for you.
Oh, I didn't know any of that. But, I had no interest in the show. I'd never seen it. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I started watching it one night. Like, oh, that Chandler Bing guy is pretty funny. And then
was this pre-Coke or during Coke?
I think it was
Pre-Coke?
Yeah, because you could see when it
What
happened.
happened? You see when it happened. Like, he lost, like, all the weight, and he went,
Oh, he was bad for a couple years.
And then he gained. God, it was just. But between him and then what's his name, Joey?
Tribbiani.
Matt. Shit, what's his name?
I don't remember.
LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Matt LeBlanc. I had seen him in another show way back.
He was on a spinoff of Married with Children with Joseph Bologna.
Not that show.
Okay.
But I remember that too.
He was one of Kelly's boyfriends for a while.
Yeah.
That Al used to walk into the door.
Hey,
let me get you out of here.
I got some advice for you. Bang.
Yeah.
Doors are hard.
Yeah, Friends never. I liked Friends, but I didn't stick with it all the way through. Most people loved Chandler. I honestly thought the funniest character on Friends was Ross. Ross made me laugh so fucking hard.
I hate you
honestly,
right now. I absolutely hate you right now.
When Ross
I really do.
is teaching at the college.
You are the worst.
Oh God, Ross is funny.
He's not funny. He's the most talentless piece
Ross
of
had
shit.
in like what 12 seasons. Ross had probably the best line ever when Jennifer Aniston goes, "I'm so over you," and he just looks at her and goes, "When were you ever under me?"
Yeah,
which to me was like the greatest line ever.
My favorite Ross moment was when
their relationship just made me pull my hair out. It was
I'll never
aggravating.
forget. I'll never forget the first year that Friends was on. I was still living at home, and I was watching the first season like with my parents. Like we'd watch Seinfeld, and it was on right after Seinfeld, I think. And I remember just randomly one time, me and my dad were discussing that show, and my dad, I think this was his way of saying that Jennifer Aniston was really hot. He goes, "No way she'd be with that guy." I'm like, yeah, I guess I could see that. But no, my favorite Ross moments ever, real quick, is when
What's he doing now?
the Thanksgiving episode.
Apparently robbing a store. Did you see that thing?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, the guy in England.
The guy in England who looked just like him.
And he actually did a joke version of it.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty funny, but I'm sure somebody else told him how to do it because I don't think he has.
If you haven't seen this, for the listeners out there, a guy in England robbed a convenience store, and they got a picture of him in the security camera, and he looks just like David Schwimmer.
It's uncanny. Yeah,
he's stealing it looks like a case of drinks or something.
Yeah.
And they get the picture, and it looks just so. All these
probably
people,
Iron Brew.
all these people on Twitter were doing hashtags, and they were doing them as titles of Friends shows, like. Because they were all called That One With. Right. So it's like that one where Ross robs a store, that one blank, that one this. And then David Schwimmer, a couple days later, he took a picture of himself doing the same thing in a store. And the guy really does look like him.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's weird.
The Thanksgiving episode where Monica made him a sandwich every year.
The moist maker.
And he freaks out when the other professor eats his and he's rubbing his eye because he's just like he's fucking so tightly wound. Schwimmer is one of those actors that kind of gets stuck with the Ross thing. I'll tell you.
I wonder why.
But I will tell you where I did actually. No, see, I will. Band of Brothers.
He was good in Band of Brothers because he was basically playing a.
Holy crap!
dick.
I forgot he was in that.
So Ross,
I was so glad when they wrote him out of the show. Because it's like you've got no talent for doing anything other than this one thing.
See, I
the
thought,
character.
Right. The character was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it was funny because, at that point, Friends had been out for probably 6 or 7 years, and you're used to this Ross character, this neurotic, nice guy who gets walked all over. His love life is a mess. He ends up he marries married to a lesbian.
His own fault in that whole thing.
But he's a mess.
He's got a monkey.
And
he's
then
a mess, and he never fixes anything.
You get to Band of Brothers,
he just makes it worse.
And he plays the drill sergeant
Awful white people
that they have to train with in the beginning. And he's just a bastard. He's a total bastard. He makes him run up that hill. I'll never forget at the end when he gets his comeuppance with Damian Lewis when he doesn't want to salute him. And Damian Lewis uses the same line he used with him in the beginning. Yeah. You don't salute the man, you salute the rank. Yeah. And because there was the one episode where they actually end up in combat situation and he falls apart.
He's a complete
Yeah.
idiot.
He's a complete idiot.
He's a good drill sergeant, but he's not a good under fire.
Let me write that. That's a rewatch I haven't seen in a while.
Band of Brothers.
I'm going to rewatch that. What a fucking...
The Pacific was great, too.
I own the Pacific. I've never seen it. A couple years ago after Christmas, I had a Amazon card, and I ordered it, and I've had it for years. I've just never tossed it in.
It's similar, but different.
It's more individual character focused, the Pacific.
Because it's
rather rather than the whole group of people. It followed like 3 or 4 very specific people and their journeys through.
It's hard because of the things that they did in the Pacific and the battles that they're following. It's hard to follow a group of people because they just got decimated every single time they went into battle. So it's good stuff though. The one where the guy's in convalescence, and that was unusually good. That you didn't see that.
Well, it's a side. It's a side that because what it was a side that you don't normally see.
Right.
I mean, like you'll see somebody like go back to triage or go back for medical care, but they don't actually spend the time.
Right.
With the day to day of actually convalescing and the mental toll it takes. And like I said, I've never served. I've never been in combat, so I can't speak to it. But I can only go on what I saw on the show. The guilt almost that he felt leaving his brothers to fight while he was sitting in a hospital bed, and it was extraordinarily well done for what it was.
It really was.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to write that down.
Yeah,
I gotta
definitely.
watch that too.
Yeah.
I own it though, so
you'll see the differences. I mean, because Band of Brothers is kind of a linear storyline. This one is, but it isn't. Because, like you say, it follows individuals, so it kind of branches off at times.
Right.
Before it eventually dovetails back.
Band of Brothers
not
had
in the same
such
way.
an impressive cast, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you get guys like,
Damian Lewis to start.
Damian Lewis, David Schwimmer, who was good in that. Don Wahlberg, who at that point was still kind of emerging as an actor. He was great in that. Neil McDonough, who, again, at that point was kind of very, very young.
Man, I'd have to go to IMDb.
Ron Livingston. Ron Livingston,
awesome.
who is just an awesome actor.
Ron Livingston and Damian Lewis need to do something together again. They were so good in each scene that they were in together in that show.
That episode where they end up in the concentration camp at the end, was just that show was heart wrenching, man. But what a quality fucking show. Spielberg, Tom Hanks. I've never seen the one they did about the astronauts, which I've also kind of wanted to check out. From the Earth to the Moon.
I never saw that.
Yeah, that was after or before, right before or right after. I mean, obviously a much different tone, but a much different story. But
I want to say I saw it, but I don't remember.
No, I have to. I'm writing that one down from
the Earth to the Moon. Yeah, it was another one that Spielberg and Hanks did together and it was HBO. It was like 10 episodes, and it had an all-star cast, different people playing, all these different early NASA character, real people. Good stuff, people. Real people.
If you want to talk about cool sci-fi, like cool shows that are on, one that I absolutely love, and I don't know if any of you guys have watched it, Mars. Have you seen like season 1 of Mars? It's really awesome, and season 2 is coming out soon. I'm not exactly sure when.
It's not often that I can say I've never even heard of something.
It's on Nat Geo, so I'm probably one of the only 6 people who've actually seen it.
It's like a documentary show.
It's cool because what it is a mix of like documentary and like cinematic elements. So there is like a cast of characters, and they are going to Mars to colonize, like to set up a base and colonize it. And then what they do is through parts of the show, they're interviewing scientists. Like Elon Musk was a huge part of season 1. And they were showing through it like SpaceX's quest to actually get a rocket to land upright, because that's a huge part of actually colonizing Mars, is the ability to reuse the rockets, like to have it come into orbit, land, and then be able to take off again. And they start talking about like the challenges of getting people to Mars, and then they're actually like the writers of the show are having these characters like live out the challenges that they're talking about. Like trying to find water if there is any water, the search for any kind of life, what it takes, the toll it takes on you psychologically, just getting there and then living there, knowing that chances are you're never coming back. It's a one-way shot. Talking about like even just why we need to go, and everything in all the unknowns. It's fantastic. It's definitely, I loved it. And season 2 is coming out. There was one great episode where they had a botanist show up. And, they actually, they have to have agriculture there, and they bring a botanist out, and because his wife was already out there, and he loses it, kills himself. But like the episode was great because you watch him descend. The further along the episode goes, like he goes further and further within himself and further into his job, just kind of ignoring everything else until the very end. I mean, I'm not going to spoil the whole thing. But he ends up killing himself in a pretty horrible way. No. I mean, you can tell that this is what's going to happen through the episode. I'm not spoiling how it happens. I'm just saying he does end up killing himself. But through that episode, they are talking like they're talking to psychologists and stuff about like what the psychological toll of living there would be. Never being able to go outside. without a suit on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're pretty much inside. Like it takes a year to get, a year and a half, I think, to get there at the speed we can go now. So just the toll of being on a ship for a year and a half and how that can play havoc with your body and your mind as a whole. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great show. I mean, honest to God, I think it's only like 8 or 9 episodes long, and so it's not like it's not like a 22 episode time commitment, but I love it.
I can't do 22 episode shows anymore.
No.
I'm like, I've gotten past that point in my life. And I'm even like Netflix Marvel shows at 13 are pushing it. We can't talk about it.
I thought they were
just
going to
yet.
10.
Daredevil season 2
Daredevil's
is
13.
13. But Daredevil season 2, without getting too far into the show, because Lou has not finished it yet. Season 3.
Yeah.
There's like no fat on the thing. There was one episode I got very.
There's a little bit.
There's a little, but I'm saying like comparatively speaking to the length of it,
It's a little bit of gristle. Actually.
there's a little gristle.
Yeah.
It's
usually centered around a certain blonde.
Yeah, I got very nervous when I realized that one of the episodes was titled Karen.
That's the one I
Yeah.
warned you about.
Yeah.
yeah.
But luckily, they did something very smart. They only did the first maybe 25 minutes
and then-
about her, and then they made up for it in the second half with some tremendous action.
I haven't seen the end of it, but I mean, they're leaning pretty heavily on the Born Again, so I'm assuming I kind of have an idea how it's going to end. But
no,
it's going to end where Born Again kind of begins.
They use the general idea of the Born Again storyline, the nun. What's her relationship to him? There are certain things in there.
I'm figuring
but
at some point
there's-
she's going to develop a drug addiction and sell them out.
No.
There's a couple
No?
of
okay.
specific images that you'll see that you'll recognize.
Him
Yeah.
hanging off a cross.
Oh, I saw that episode. That was awesome. The minute I saw him hanging off the cross, I was like, yeah, it was like a nerd cheer in my living room. My wife's like, what?
And
It's
it's
like perfect iconic images
Yeah.
at this point. And,
I think you kind of know where one of the certain characters, villain wise, is probably going. You're 5 episodes in, so
I think 5. Yeah, I think 5.
I hate to say it out loud, but I
Yeah,
think
just we'll leave it alone.
okay. You don't want me to say it?
No, calm down.
'Cause there's one fucking shot at the end, but we'll talk about it in another.
I'll get to it.
Okay, so we
It's on my
do
list.
we do get introduced to a very famous Daredevil villain, and it's done quite well.
Oh, you're talking about Bullseye?
Yeah.
I mean, I've already
the
figured
owl.
that out.
You figured that out.
It's
Okay.
the owl.
I mean, like I was gonna say, unless it's the owl.
Stilt
I mean,
man.
but I mean, like, yeah, no. I mean, the FBI SWAT agent who's banking bullets off the freaking lamp pole in the first
wait
episode.
wait
I think
till
I knew
you-
who that was.
Wait till you get to how he becomes what you're going to call Bullseye.
Yeah.
They never say the word Bullseye, but what you're going to call Bullseye. But he does use his powers quite a bit, or whatever you want to call it.
his skills.
His skills.
Yeah, no.
There's one scene in the last episode where there's a character on the floor, and I thought this was fucking great. This character on the floor, he shoots her. She doesn't shoot her dead. He shoots her in the side. She kind of like slumps on the floor. He goes to shoot her again. He runs out of bullets. He turns around and he's walking away, and he throws the gun behind him, and it just cracks her in the head from like 35 feet away. And so the Bullseye stuff, as a Bullseye fan, they did absolutely right. With him throwing shit, and it was awesome.
Can I go unpopular opinion and say I liked Colin Farrell as Bullseye?
I didn't dislike him either, because they basically...
No opinion.
No. I think this guy is a better actor. His name's Wilson Bethel, and I think one of the interesting things about this guy is he was, I don't know how far he got in line, he was one of the people considered for the Captain America movies before Chris Evans.
Oh, no
Chris
kidding.
Evans, yeah. Oh, I could see it. Blonde, blue eye, kind of,
Yeah, I mean,
Built guy.
I can see it. You know what I mean? I mean, he doesn't have the all-American face like Chris Evans
Not
does,
necessarily,
but I mean,
but he still has that good-looking.
it's like Chris Evans looks like a guy you could see on the package of like Ballpark Franks. You know what I mean? It's just. But I could see it. I mean, it's not too far out of the. It's not so far out there that you wouldn't buy it.
Yeah. Well, finish that show up. Don't fuck around with it. It's
No,
13 episodes.
trying.
Even don't get too nervous when you see the episode called Karen. It's only
I'll
about
be
25
okay.
minutes of backstory for her.
I'm
you could
fine.
read a magazine during it. It's okay.
I'm totally fine with things like that. I have no problem with episodes
She
like
certainly
that.
is. Doug Paskevich, the creator of Arsenic Lullaby, John was telling me, because John follows his blog more than I do, apparently wrote an article about how Karen Page on the
and this was last year.
in the Marvel Netflix universe is the worst character on TV, and I tend to agree.
Oh no.
Or ever.
Ever.
Oh, okay.
The worst character ever.
I tend
television.
to agree. When she pops up on any of these shows, my interest levels immediately wean to the point where I'm like, when are we getting to another like Foggy or Matt or Kingpin or the fucking The Agent Nadeem.
Yeah, Agent
When are we getting
Nadeem.
to anybody else? Agent Nadeem, I actually liked a lot.
I did too.
yeah.
I was surprised when they introduced him. I'm sitting there, I'm like, who's this guy supposed to be? What's this?
Because in The Punisher, they had a similar character. Did you watch The Punisher?
I'm honest to God, never finished it.
Okay.
Well, I was a few episodes in, and I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And then you were like, oh, that show's terrible, and I'm like, I'll get around to it.
It wasn't great.
Karen Page showed up, and
Karen
I
Page
just tuned right out.
I saw her.
The Karen Page episode where they used her. There's one episode in particular in a hotel room it was an action episode that took place from 4 different viewpoints. Was actually really well done, but had nothing to do with her. But there's a character in The Punisher that's another agent. I can't remember if she was CIA or whatever. They focused on her a lot. And she was terrible. She was terrible. So when they introduced Nadeem in Daredevil, I'm like, oh God, another fucking shitty agent. And at least his character is done quite well.
It's done well, and then the things that turn up later in the season, you'll see.
Well, so far I like how
pretty
he's
heavy duty.
So far I like how he's a victim of circumstance. I mean, like I said, I haven't finished, but like where I am in the series is like you can already kind of see where the potential arcs are going to go.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that I'm assuming he probably sells them. He sells out. I mean, like I said, please don't say anything or nod or laugh or do anything. I have my eyes shut right now, so I can't see them.
Not telling you anything.
But like I said, if he does sell out, you could see that the desperation that was caused by outside factors that weren't necessarily like he's not a human piece of garbage. He just succumbs to what he needs to do to survive.
Yeah. There's a couple of really big surprises in the season.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Oh yeah,
I was surprised by them. So,
and once again, Vincent D'Onofrio,
they do a really good job making him bigger than life. They must do like smaller
camera
chairs
angles,
and stuff like that.
There's a scene, and this is not a spoiler in any way, shape, or form in terms of like who it happens to or what matters, but it is just a great Vincent D'Onofrio Kingpin moment where he asks another character for his jacket. Give me your jacket.
Yeah.
And
I didn't quite see what he was going to do.
He's in a car with a certain character, and he says, "Give me your jacket." And you know that this is not going to go well. Now, if you remember from season 1, his temper tantrums are quite violent. So the guy gives him his jacket, and he proceeds to wrap it around the guy's head and then punch him to death through the jacket until all you see through the gray jacket is just a muddy blood smear. And then he's pull over and drop off the body.
Well, because he smashed the guy's head in the door in season 1.
Yes, and this is very similar. This is very similar.
Yeah.
D'Onofrio is fucking bananas good as Kingpin. It's just we'll get more into it after you see more. I think in a week or so we're going to do a show with Jerry Morgan, and I think he's doing his homework and watching it, so we'll talk about it with him. But if you have not checked out Daredevil season 3. And if you're like me, if you've been avoiding Marvel, honestly, I didn't watch Jessica Jones season 2. I didn't watch Luke Cage season 2.
Well, they canceled Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Right. And I just didn't care. This one I cared about because I'm a big Daredevil fan, and it did not let me down.
It doesn't make a difference because they're starting up the
Disney streaming service, which is why everyone thinks they're canceling it anyway, regardless.
I wouldn't doubt it.
They'll end it. They'll announce it probably next year
because they haven't canceled Jessica Jones yet.
No, she's got another season.
One in the can. There's one season left.
Is there still
Jessica
one?
Jones is
done?
Complete.
Oh, did they finish it?
That's complete, and Punisher 2 is being completed. So I would be very wary to see any more be produced for Netflix
after this. Yeah,
they're going to release Jessica Jones. They're going to release Punisher, and then they're going to jump over. And what they'll do on a lot of these shows, in my opinion, if they're smart, especially when you get like Luke Cage and Iron Fist, who coincidentally are a team in the comic books, and you had 2 shows that were kind of poorly received, put them together. Make it one show.
No, you make it a 6-episode storyline and you move on. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you tell a Cloak and Dagger story like the one. Oh,
that was a show
that got picked up for season 2.
That was a show I watched the first episode.
But have you
of
watched it?
No.
I watched the first episode. I didn't. I mean, like I said, I didn't think it was that bad.
I had no interest.
I mean, it was teeny bopper.
I couldn't get past that first episode. I watched it. I was like, okay.
Like I said, I watched the first one, and I haven't gotten.
No characters I never cared about. The only reason, in all honesty, and I enjoyed the show, the only reason I read Runaways was because I loved Runaways the comic.
Right.
I couldn't finish that one either.
I did like the show. Cloak and Dagger are, for me, kind of peripheral characters that pop up once in a while, and I never liked them.
D character.
Just turns into like a time thing. There's so much.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
And I just don't like. I've given up on all the CW shows.
Me too. I'm years
and not because I don't like them. It's just because I don't have the freaking time.
Did you see the recent announcement with the guy who plays Joe West?
Yeah.
Jesse L. Martin on Flash. He's going to be taking a hiatus. He
Uh-huh.
apparently non-work related. They said it was in between shooting seasons. He hurt his back really bad. I guess I'm not watching the show, but I guess every scene he's been in this year, he's sitting down.
Yeah, there's been 4 episodes so far, and either he's leaning up against a wall and not moving, or sitting in a chair, or laying down. You don't see him walking anywhere. You don't see him doing anything. It was really strange. I figured it was just they weren't going to do much with him this season, and then they announced that thing. I was like, that sucks because he's the glue that holds all those idiot kids together.
Yeah, you know? and he does a great job.
He does.
You know?
He does.
He is truly the best part of that cast.
Well, trust me. I mean, what's his name?
Grant Gustin?
No, the Harrison Wells actor.
Oh no, he's great too, though. But but Tom Cavanaugh.
Yeah, Tom Cavanaugh. Now they've created so many of these damn Harrison Wells spin-off characters from all the different planets and all the universes. The one that they have now is the worst. Absolutely.
I don't know how.
Do they still have the one with the? Is that still the same one that carries the drumsticks in his back pocket? But he's actually an idiot.
Do you want me to spoil this?
Yeah,
I don't care.
All right, so he dies at the end of the episode, at the end of the season for the Savitar season.
Oh yeah, that's right. He sacrifices himself. Yeah.
HR.
Yeah,
the shitty one.
Because everyone thinks Iris is going to die.
Right.
But it ends up not being Iris. He has some imager, a hologram imager on him. So he's the one that actually dies and not Iris.
Yeah,
that was the big.
Yeah, they basically stole the Captain America Winter Soldier ending.
That season was so bad.
Yeah, that's the season I'm currently on that I just kind of gave up on.
Last season was pretty good. The whole thing with the Thinker, I enjoyed it because they introduced a lot of
I
characters.
was really confused when they introduced Savitar and he was Megatron.
Well, not only that, but it's what's his name? Barry. I keep wanting to say
it's one of those. It was like a time shade or whatever the hell they called it.
Future Barry.
A time shade Barry or whatever the hell it was.
So bad. It was just you figured it out even before you
I
even
think
got to the episode. I think.
Yeah.
And when you told me that, I was like, I'm not telling you.
Yeah. No, I'm done.
I saw they put Constantine on Legends of Tomorrow, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but
that show is so bad.
Honestly, the only one I'm going to continue on, I think.
I may have to watch it just because he's on it.
I tried.
With Constantine?
I tried that first episode, and I can't go back to that.
No.
I wish they had never done that. I wish they had
went to Woodstock, and they can't even do Woodstock right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 1969. It's not that far along. I mean, these people that are writing these shows have no concept of history.
Because they're 15 years younger than us.
No, they're younger than that.
Yeah. No.
Well, the problem is...
Open a book!
They probably weren't there, man.
You know what was particularly awkward was, I think, season 2 when they met George Lucas. Did you see those episodes?
I liked that episode. That was a funny episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they met George Lucas.
You find out that they actually end up influencing a bunch of things from Star Wars.
That was really
There's a scene where
funny.
they get stuck in a dumpster.
But like I said, I actually enjoyed that Constantine show when it was on NBC. I don't think it deserved to get canceled after 1 year.
I watched 2 episodes, and I was not crazy about them.
It wasn't dark enough.
Well, you know what? It's NBC.
Well, that's the problem. It shouldn't have ever been on.
But you know what?
NBC.
They could have pushed it a little bit more the further it went along.
Well,
but for a first season, it wasn't bad.
They let him smoke after 4 episodes. I mean, it
started to get there.
There's a network ban on smoking.
I remember that. Yeah. About a year ago for Christmas time, when Lindsay was asking me what I wanted for Christmas, I gave her some stuff, and then I think I was on Amazon, and I saw that they were selling the DVD set for like $9.99. So I had her get it for me. I have it. I don't know if I'll ever throw it in, but I mean, it's there if I decide I want to.
Here's the thing.
I mean, he's not comics Constantine. I agree by any stretch.
No, he is. Here's the difference. He is Constantine. He is not Constantine.
Oh, here we go with this name thing again.
Lord.
So the Hellblazer series that ran 300 issues, that's Constantine. Character that they use right now that's in the DC universe and the Justice League Dark and all that crap, that's post-Brightest Day bullshit. He's Constantine because he's 20 years younger than he should be, for one. They did that on purpose. Dan Didio has no concept of what this character is, so...
Pretty much consider that.
Yeah, but they were trying to incorporate a character into the main line that was often the Vertigo line, where they could get away with a little bit more.
Regardless,
I mean, they tried. They kind of PG rated him.
In all honesty,
right? And that's what you got with that TV show. Is everything he's doing has nothing. I mean, it has nothing to do with Vertigo. You have a cabbie that's American. First off, Chaz Chandler.
Right.
Chaz suddenly has a.
Yeah, what was he?
He was partially immortal.
Yeah.
He had so many lives to him. You get the story eventually. He got cursed by a demon during the whole night. The Newcastle
incident.
He got cursed, so he can die, but he only has so many left after that. So he basically gets reborn. But he's not Chaz. And
At some point, I'm going to throw it on.
And know the problem I had with the trench coat and the red tie and the rumpled shirt,
you had mentioned
it turned into a fucking costume. It's not a costume. It's what he wears. And it just bothered the shit out of me in that show. Everything is so clean. Fuck it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was,
and then they were ripping people off. So
ripping people off.
Yeah, what?
Storylines in the show that they should have paid the originators for.
Oh, so stuff that was not credited.
Stuff that was in Swamp Thing was supposed to be paid for. Stuff that's in Hellblazer, different story.
Oh, okay.
So, they fucked around with that, but
he knows. He's the man who knows too much.
At some point,
if you never hear from John again after this episode.
He's been kidnapped by Dan Didio.
Come at me, Dan Didio.
Dan Didio's going to fucking...
Didio's hiring the NBC assassins to come at him right now.
Dan Didio's going to drag his dick across John's mouth.
Yeah. They didn't even give anybody the proper credit in Titans, so...
That's a weird-looking show.
We watched the first episode.
It's out?
Well...
First 3 are out.
Oh, are they
The first
really?
3 are out. The 4th episode, which is coming up next, is Doom Patrol.
Why is Robin like a killer?
They don't explain it in the first episode at the very
And
least.
why does he say like, fuck Batman?
That's explained very well.
It makes a little bit more sense than you think. The trailer was terrible.
The trailer was
show-
awful.
Why is Hawk like? Why is Dove seem like a bloodthirsty killer in that trailer too?
Well, I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, that's in the 3rd episode.
Oh,
Second.
Okay, because that seems so weird
Second?
to me.
Yeah, I thought it was the 3rd one.
Second.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's
Whoops.
very violent. It's no. It's fine.
It's legit out.
It's out on DC streaming, which I'm not paying. I'm not spending $75. I very much agree. I was just talking before about how we had Joey from So Wizard on the
Piracy's
BingCon
wrong,
show.
everybody.
Joey from So Wizard actually made a very good point. You're a fan. You're spending $75 for this service, right? For DC streaming. You don't need a goddamn origin. Like the way they set the show up,
Right.
There's not going to be a team until the last episode of season 1.
Oh, for real?
Oh yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Why can't anyone just copy
So far, 2 characters have met. One doesn't even know who she is, and one of them they showed at the very end. And it's just going to be a whole season of it's.
Is it Raven? Raven doesn't know she's Dragon's daughter.
We don't even know that yet.
We don't even know that yet.
Robin is now a cop in Detroit. He's left Batman behind.
He's the
Why
youngest.
are we Detroit? Oh, we're not doing Bloodhaven.
Yeah, we're in Detroit.
He's the youngest teen cop I ever saw.
He is. Raven is like a 13-year-old.
Is it Dick?
It's Dick.
Is it Dick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's Robin too. Now every promo you see, they say Nightwing runs the Titans. They don't mention Robin at all. It's all Nightwing.
Yeah, so I haven't seen anything about Nightwing yet.
Because I don't think he's going to turn into Nightwing until like episode 9 or 10,
right?
Which is the end of the season.
Right. It's gonna be where he finally like has a talk with Bruce off camera. And they come
hired
to some
somebody
accord.
to play Batman.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Is there a cyborg in this?
Not yet.
No, not yet, but he's going to be because he's going to somehow.
Is it the dude from the movie? Because he was great.
No,
he was like the highlight of that
movie. It's going to somehow be a liaison between the Doom. Cyborg is going to be the liaison between the Doom Patrol and the Titans somehow. Which who knows how that works? Yeah. And the Doom Patrol, several of the members who are in the Titans episode are different actors.
Yeah, they're different actors
that they hired to play in the Doom Patrol.
Actually, I think all of them.
I think the girl who
except
plays
for the girl,
yeah,
she's the only one they held over.
Yeah, so
they replaced everybody else.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what to think about this show, but
I liked it. I mean, yes, it's really violent. It's very violent, actually.
Robin smashes a dude's head through a car window.
It kind of makes sense.
And then smashes his head through a car window. And then drags his face across the glass at the bottom of the.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, did they discuss why that is?
Not yet.
No, but I'm thinking they're going to come to a reason.
It's got a lot to do with his angst over being Robin, I think.
Right.
And eventually, I think it'll tone down.
I'll give it this: the Robin costume looks great.
It does.
It's movie quality.
What's his name? Brenton.
Yeah, Brenton.
Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, something. Yeah,
the girls know who he is.
Yeah,
I've
the
noticed
girls know
they
who
do.
he is.
I mean, they're all like, "Oh, Brenton, whatever his last name is." I've never even heard of this guy.
The girl who plays Raven basically looks like any girl that works at a Hot Topic who's going to sell you an Iron Maiden
But
shirt.
here's the thing with her. I swear she's got a longer career than any of these other actors. She's been in more TV and more commercials.
Probably,
and she's 13 or 14.
Right.
Actually, she might be older.
You meet Chameleon at or Beast Boy, whatever you want to call him, at the very end of the episode. 1 minute cameo.
Apparently, that's from what I've heard in all these episodes up to the newest one.
Oh, they keep doing that?
He's just at the end of the episode.
That's the thing. It's probably because they can't afford him.
And it's probably because
they can't afford the CG or everything else around him.
Or he's a Katie Lotz actor.
Yeah. His transformations are transformations are way more minimal than they have to be.
Right.
Instead of it just being where like there's a flash and he's a tiger, because he's a tiger in the first episode. He runs out into the woods and then he slowly like kind of does like the
clothes,
the Rick Baker, his face is shortening and American Werewolf in London a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that's gonna happen in the middle of battle. Yeah, it's gonna take you 20 minutes to shapeshift.
I'll be right back. I got to run into the bathroom.
Turn into a gorilla. And what? Where is he?
Where'd he go? Beach Boy.
So episode 4, which I think is the next episode they're airing on DC streaming, is going to be the introduction of the Doom Patrol. I'm going to watch at least through there. The first episode in no way, shape, or form made me go. First of all, it didn't make me go, I've got to watch this more. But I'm still there. It definitely made me go, not that it was ever a consideration. I'm glad I didn't pay for this fucking streaming service.
Well,
the only one that gets me close to saying that I would ever even think about it would be Swamp Thing. And that's even something I could wait for or find in other various ways, because I just, Titans, I don't know.
Would you pay for the Star Trek Discovery stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery, though, I thought was...
I really want that to come out on Blu-ray.
I think this week.
Is it this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm almost definite.
Because that's a season I have not finished it yet.
Oh, God. So
I know. I have like 2 episodes left.
Okay. Yeah. Just wait till the Blu-ray comes out in a couple weeks. And
that's my thing. I'm watching Amazon all the time.
Yeah. I'm thinking... I think I remember Lloyd saying it's coming out right the week of his birthday, which is 13th.
When's season 2 start?
January 19th. They just announced
shortly.
It. Yeah, can't wait for that. And okay, so you know what? We're gonna real quick.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, because this episode went way off the rails.
Too busy into the Future Farmers of America and
Don't be surprised if that's truncated a little bit.
I honest thing, I think you should tag the FFA in that, man. You might get some some listen. You just take, like I said, take the swears out.
Yeah, that would take longer than you can imagine. So here at Pine Comics, we meet a ton of cool people. We meet a ton of cool artists and authors, and we occasionally will get the wonderful comp material that comes along with that we get to review. And a lot of times we'll do reviews on our website, and a lot of times we'll just review stuff here. And funnily enough, I've had some books come to the old 215 in the last couple of weeks, and they're piling up. What's the
215?
That's Studio 215. That's my address here.
Studio
215.
You know, I honestly, God, I've been coming to your house for all this time. I never knew your actual address.
Yeah, it's 215 blank, which I'm not going to say.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I honestly didn't know that.
Don't get any groupies.
Swear to God, I know where the house is. I just never knew the actual number. Wow, that's pretty cool.
So we've been getting all these books.
New today.
We've got 3 books. Each one of us is going to go over the book real quick, kind of give you an idea what it's about. And John, why don't you start? You've got a very interesting book over there, and you actually wrote a review for your book. It's on www.pinecomics.com, so you can check that out to read John's words as well as hear him talk about it right here.
It's under the title of Saint Bill.
Saint Bill.
Because this is a book called The Art of Being Bill. Subtitle is The Many Faces of Awesome. It's a collection of art from, I think, 2 galleries of art, all on Bill Murray. So That's right. All artist interpretations of different eras of Bill Murray. And that includes sculpture and a couple of items. There are baked goods. There are cakes in here of Bill Murray. Paintings of all the characters he's played.
And it goes in chronological order through his movies, correct?
Cakes. Yeah, there's a couple of cakes in here, yeah. And they're pretty lifelike. It's kind of creepy.
Bill Murray, I mean...
So the writer, Ezra Croft, I guess, had come up with this idea of gathering a series of artists to do a specific theme, and that's Bill Murray. The first one, I guess, was so successful they did a second one, and after the second one, he had all this extra stuff, and he's like, why don't I just do a book? So he did. He put this book together, which I did the review on, and it's under 200 pages. Like you were saying, it goes chronologically through the years. It's movies only. So it's no TV,
no SNL,
no SNL. They do they mention it and stuff in passing, but there's no depictions of any of his SNL appearances or like the Lounge Lizard or any of that kind of stuff. It's all just the movies.
I'm gonna have to share this. I'm gonna have to bring this copy to my parents' house and show my dad, because my dad hates Bill Murray.
Really?
My dad is not. a fan of a lot of like funny things, and my dad particularly, because Bill Murray
He didn't like the Razor's Edge.
nothing. Bill, I think if I could picture my dad saying something, which I'm just making up myself, I would see him saying that he hates Bill Murray because he's a fucking smart ass. Because Bill Murray is a smart ass. I mean, that's kind of
He hates Bill Murray for being Bill Murray.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the type of personality Bill Murray has is the type of person my dad just would not like. And so, I mean, I love Bill Murray. I think Bill Murray is Bill Murray has. I mean, let's be honest.
Your dad very much reminds me of like Rex Foreman, like from that '70s show. Like dumbass.
Red Foreman.
Red Foreman.
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
Curtis.
Red Foreman.
Kurtwood Smith.
It's been a while. It's been some years.
Bill Murray has. I mean, there's a book like this for a reason. Because Bill Murray has kind of gone into the stratosphere. He's not even.
Strangely enough, there's a series of books out there by different authors and different publishers about Bill Murray.
Right. He's not even.
It's just
He's
weird.
not even. He's not even a movie star anymore. He's not even a TV star. He's not a comedian.
He's Bill Murray.
He's Bill Murray. He's become his own thing.
Yeah.
He's a very. I mean, shit. Netflix has, and I've watched it every year the last 3 years. My wife, the Bill Murray Christmas special. It's fucking wonderful. If you've not seen it, it's
I've
great.
seen
It's
it.
an hour long. It's like little skits.
Bizarre.
It's super bizarre. It all takes place in this hotel in New York City. He has Buster Poindexter, David Johansen on it. He does Santa Claus. He does a Santa Claus song with George Clooney. Miley Cyrus is in it. It's the weirdest fucking Christmas special in the world. It's also the coolest Christmas special in the world. Bill Murray there is a book like this because Bill Murray has evolved into something that we don't understand.
He's like John Malkovich.
In a way,
He's become his characters.
he almost has.
Yeah,
he almost
and
has.
He's not. He's not Bill Murray, like the normal, like, hey, I'm Bill Murray. I'm going to go have a steak
Right.
and walk down the street. I mean, he's actually become an amalgamation of the people he's played.
We've all heard these stories about Bill Murray showing up in places and just like playing with people. I mean, there's one of my favorites is I saw these guys on a talk show or something. They were in Chicago or something. Bill Murray's from Chicago. They were traveling through the country, I think through America. They stopped at a fast food restaurant. One guy was up at the counter ordering his burger. His friend is sitting at his seat, eating his food, waiting his friend to get his burger. And suddenly someone walks by and grabs a handful of his fries out of the fry thing and eats them. He looks up and it's Bill Murray. And Bill Murray goes, "No one's going to believe you," and walks away.
Didn't he like do someone's wedding too, or just like show up at somebody's
Showed up at a wedding.
Yeah.
He gave. This is on YouTube. I'm sure you can still find it. He gave the toast at someone's either wedding or at their bachelor party. He was in a room over. These guys are having a bachelor party. There's a whole video of it. They know he's there, and they keep saying, "Go over and get Bill Murray." And, no one's going to do it, and he knows that they want him to come over. At the very end, he comes over. He gets a fucking glass of champagne, gets everybody to raise their glass. There's like 30 guys in the room. He gives a heartfelt speech, and then just fucking leaves.
Yep.
Like ghost out the door.
Dude, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be so great? Like, it's kind of like in the music world, it's kind of like how like U2's become. I mean, wouldn't you just love to have that kind of money and freedom to basically do whatever the hell you want?
You know who
whenever
else
you
is
want?
very much like that is I guess Tom Hanks does shit like that all the time. I guess he's taking pictures with people like there was one in New York City where it was after a wedding. They were walking through
that's
one of
right,
the
I saw
parks,
that.
like
Right.
the Grand Center or whatever the big park is out there. And
Central Park.
Central Park. Yeah. And he was jogging and he passed them and he sees them taking pictures and he runs over and goes, "Can I get in these pictures?" And they got pictures of them like the bride with Tom Hanks and. So John, who is this book published by? Ezra, you said, what was it?
It's written by Ezra Croft with Jennifer Razor. Ezra Croft is going to be a guest on the radio show on November 23rd.
Okay, so if we do not have this show out by November 23rd, then go to the archives and check it out.
Check that out, yeah.
You could actually hear the author of, I love this right in the back. What is the tagline there? There's only one Bill.
But he's a million kinds of awesome.
That's right. That's
So
right.
the book is published by Race Point Publishing. You can find it on what is it? Quarto Publishing. If you go to their website, you can search for this book and it'll come up on their list. I have a link on the review I did. So.
Okay, I'm sure Amazon probably carries
Amazon
it too.
will have it too, yeah. But however you want to buy it.
If you're a Bill Murray fan, this book, I looked at it for about 5 minutes before we recorded. It's very fun.
Yeah, short.
And I will be definitely going through it. John read the whole thing on a ride back from New York City on a train. It's a very quick read.
There's a lot of information in there for all the movies that he did, little bits of snippets of information and things about Bill himself, things about the movies that he was on, backstage stuff. A lot of it isn't unknown. So if you know things about Bill and his history, very little of it is going to be new to you. But if you're new to Bill Murray or want to know more or just want to look at the art, it's a good book for that.
Still interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Lou, what do you got over there?
I actually have the book in front of me, DC Comics Superheroines 100 Greatest Moments. And just from the outset, because I got this handed to me and, told to give it a look over, which, I mean, I'm glad I did because, I mean, some of the characters in here, like Birds of Prey and Oracle are some of my absolute favorite characters in the DC universe, so it fits right in. I have to say, when I saw this thing was only like $24.99, and when I say it's 312 pages and you can murder somebody with it if you hit them over the head with it a few times, I can't believe how inexpensive this thing is for what you get.
These books,
it's incredibly well done.
There's a series of these books. There's already one that had come out
for Justice League.
Yep. Top 100 Moments. There's one coming out for supervillains as well.
I think there's a Batman one out already.
A Batman one, I think, too. And these are all written by
Robert Greenberger.
Our buddy Robert Greenberger, who we interviewed at Terrificon 2017. Who, John, Robert Greenberger, again, what has he been involved in?
Bob has been editor at DC, was an editor at DC for a long period of time. He was editor for Starlog and Comic Scene magazines, if you remember those. He's a editor of Star Trek stuff.
Various, yeah.
Writer of Star Trek stuff. Writer of many, many things. I think he's part of Crazy 8 Press with Paul Kupperberg and some of the other guys. Man, he's got a million things. And he's a teacher.
He's a teacher, and he's also becoming like a moderator.
Yeah, apparently that's his new thing. So
he recently did a Q&A with John Cusack in Maryland after a showing of Say Anything.
Which was at after the Baltimore Comic-Con.
Baltimore Comic-Con.
But he was also, at the Baltimore Comic-Con, he also did one with Shatner again, which was the second.
He's done a couple things with Shatner,
That's the second one he's done with Shatner. So.
I'll tell you this is one of the coolest parts about doing Pine Comics, is that we get to meet a ton of cool people. My birthday was last week, so, I appreciate everybody that sent me any friends out there that sent me birthday wishes. I got 2 birthday wishes on Facebook that I would never have gotten before Pine Comics. Bob Greenberger.
Really?
He sent me a happy birthday.
Oh, nice.
And Tony Isabella, creator of Black Lightning, sent me a happy birthday, John.
Nice.
So cool stuff like that does happen. But Bob is a super cool guy. Lou, give a couple ideas of some of so this is top 100 moments in DC superhero history. So this is like kind of a page by page telling of some really great things that have happened in DC.
Yeah, I mean, like you have some of the highlights, like Cass Kane becoming Batgirl, or actually the Oracle becoming Oracle after Barbara, after Barbara with the whole incident from
The Killing Joke.
From The Killing Joke. Thank you. Wow, yeah. I'm getting old, and my mind is starting to go.
That was in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have such things like Mary Batson, becoming Mary Marvel, saying it for the first time. And, other things such as that. It's actually, you have some covers, like as I'm flipping through it right now.
I mean, it's chock full.
Amanda Waller.
That's what I was going to say. This is the one that I wanted to get to, and it's actually number 1, and it's one of the greatest covers, and I wanted to actually give it the right. This is why I was flipping to it. It's Suicide Squad number 10, the one where Amanda Waller is got her finger right in Batman's chest, up against the wall, and he's backing off her. Which, if you know anything about Batman, pretty much, it's going to take a special person.
Well,
to do
I mean,
that.
John can tell you, I've read that issue. He goes in and he kind of does his thing there, and at the end of it, when he's walking away all smug Batman style, she, I think, calls him Bruce right off the bat. Yeah. And tells him, if you fuck with me again, in no uncertain terms, I'm going to let everybody know who you are.
Such an iconic cover. It's a Jerry Bingham cover, too, and that guy is a great artist that should be doing a lot more work in comics, but doesn't.
And from one of John's favorite series of all time, Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I mean, which Bob Greenberger worked on that as well, right?
Yeah, he was the editor on that for the first half of the series, anyway.
There you go.
I mean, I'm looking at the page right now where Barbara kisses Dick for the first time, touching off that relationship, which is fantastic. I mean, so it's not just like huge moments, but like it also addresses smaller character moments like that,
right.
Which sets off. You see Ollie and Dinah, for the first time.
Yep.
I can't, I wish I had more time to actually sit down and really, really, really get into depth with it. But I mean, so far, it's absolutely incredible. I'm only partway through it, but I'm hoping to take it home.
Well, Lou, you
at
know
least
what?
for a little while.
I bequeath it to you.
I'm taking it home.
No, I mean, you can own that because we've done our review, and maybe if you want to write up a little review for the website at some point.
I absolutely will.
Because one thing I also am learning about getting all these great comp copies is there's not enough room to keep everything, and I think you'll enjoy that.
So
it fits right in. I have a home for it all.
One of the things with these books, with these 100 best of books, is that it covers all eras of DC.
Yeah.
It's not just from the 60s
New
to the 90s.
yeah.
It actually went up into the new 52,
Sure,
which
it
I was
does.
surprised
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah,
Well, because it's DC, they're not going to not push that stuff.
Right.
And
it goes all the way back.
Yeah,
all the way.
Oh,
back.
the JLA one, which or the Justice League one, whatever they called it, which we got back around Terrificon time. That one went all the way back to Starro, the first appearance in JLA, and it went through a lot of the stuff that happened in New 52. Showcase, that's right. I'll even let you correct me because you are the man.
This one, I'm sure, because it's just the single heroines that you're going to get stuff going all the way back to the 40s and such. But
yeah, we had a little bit of New 52 right there as Lewis.
Yeah, and I'm flipping through, and I just there's of course the ubiquitous Harley Quinn section.
Yeah,
well, because can't get away from
super
that.
popular if you didn't know. All right, well,
she is super popular.
I'm going to go on to my book now from 1984 Publishing. This is a book by a gentleman. I'm going to say his name wrong or right. Either way, I'll get it one way or the other. Michael Gingold or Michael Gingold. This book is called Ad Nauseum, Newsprint Nightmares of the 1980s. All right, so 1984 Publishing. Michael Gingold was a contributor to Fangoria. We hear about Fangoria a lot, being sponsors of the Connecticut Cult Classics. Those guys pretty much, you talk to them and it's like Fangoria, which recently came back, is like the Bible for every one of them. As a kid, I was actually a Starlog guy, not a Fangoria guy, but I like more of the science fiction stuff. So Michael was an editor and writer of Fangoria for nearly 30 years. As well as a Rue Morgue contributor. Now, John knew Rue Morgue as a magazine, which I guess was kind of similar in some aspects to Fangoria. It probably covered a lot of the horror genre.
It wasn't published as frequently as Fangoria, and you'd have to go to more specialty magazines.
Shops,
yeah,
right. Like the places that would carry stuff like Cinefantastique and
like mine.
Yeah, like the places you get your books.
No, like my store.
Oh, okay.
When I had it, I would have Rue Morgue.
Published by 1984 and Rue Morgue. This book is, let me just say this right now. Now, it's a lot of horror stuff in it. But if you're someone of my age range and you remember in the 80s going to your local newspaper, for me, it would be the Middletown Press or the Hartford Courant.
Metal Storm.
And saying, we're going to go to the movies. You had to go to the paper. You had to open it up. You had to find your theater in the listings, in the entertainment section. And invariably, particularly on a Friday, if you busted that paper open, it would have, in newsprint, all these giant little posters of the newest movies coming out.
I used to love the movie. Like, they had the show times and everything else. That was awesome.
That's what
3-4 pages.
Yeah.
Ad Nauseum is nothing but that. So you go in, and Michael has put together this awesome package of, okay, so here we go. Day of the Dead starts Wednesday at a theater near you. And it's got, the Greenwich Playhouse Twin. I'm assuming any of his local theaters. This is all stuff that he kind of cultivated. Gremlins, and it's got multiple different versions of the Gremlins poster in here. And then as you get into the book...
I hear that's a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie. As you get into the book...
Die Hard isn't.
Die Hard absolutely is.
You're a liar.
As you get into the book, not only does it have these great scanned, basically, not recreations, but scanned copies of all of these movies. And these are not all, put it this way, these are not all Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead and Gremlins. There's The House Where Evil Dwells and Evil Speak. Michael was definitely one of these guys who was watching a lot of these cult movies. But you don't just get the pictures. You also get tons of little ephemera like Roger Ebert little blurbs, different critic blurbs, stuff that Michael remembers about going to see the movie that day. If you are, by any chance, a horror fan or into the whole idea of just going back down through that time tunnel, you have got to check out Ad Nauseum. I'm assuming you can find this, it is out for sale now. I'm assuming you can find it on Amazon, and I would say check out ruemorgue.com and check out 1984publishing.com. But Michael has put out an awesome book, again, like Lou was saying about the JLA book, or I'm sorry, the Heroines book, and also about the Bill Murray book. Beautiful hardcover. The ink smells awesome on this thing. And I am going to be flipping. I've been flipping through this, and now that we've kind of done the official review. I cannot wait to get into
Mine's definitely a weapon. Yours not so much.
No,
but
it's
beautiful.
not as heavy.
Mine is. Yeah, mine will definitely.
It's not as heavy, but I mean, this thing, I mean, Time Walker. Okay.
It's
and
gorgeous.
I want to also put in here, it's year by year.
Time Walker.
So 1983, he's got, let's see, right on one page, Time Walker, never heard of it. The Deadly Spawn, never heard of it. Nightmares, never heard of it. But then you got Amityville 3D. You've got Creepshow and Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead in a double feature.
That is so cool.
Yeah, this, and then when you get down to it, you're reading his local theaters: East Hampton Fiveplex,
That's awesome.
the Elmwood Cinema, Lowe's Stony Brook Triplex,
Showcase Cinemas, Milford, the Milford Fourplex.
They all
Are these all Connecticut theaters?
No, this is New York, Bronx, Brooklyn, Nassau, Westchester. New Jersey, there's no Connecticut on this one. Upstate New York.
I missed the Milford Fourplex.
But when you're looking at this here, the thing that's crazy about it is the titles after the theaters: Fourplex, Twin.
Yeah, well, nice.
You ain't seeing that shit anymore nowadays, son. So if you want to check it out, it's Ad Nauseum Newsprint Nightmares from the 1980s. Michael Gingold or Gingold. I apologize if I said your name wrong. Please check it out. This book is a very affordable $34.95, and it will go awesome on any bookshelf that you have going.
Gingold or Gingold was the stuff that elongated man drinks to
Isn't
get all
it?
stretchy.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Just as an aside, I was flipping through some more, and I got to number 73, where Mia Dearden in Green Arrow, comes out with the fact that she has HIV.
Who wrote that, Judd Winnick?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
surprising, Judd Winnick. I mean, it was a thing with Judd. Obviously, if you know the backstory, I mean,
basically, if you know Judd Winnick and if you know Judd Winnick and you know the
his
guy,
friend died of HIV. He was actually he was on
The Real World.
The Real World, yeah, that's right.
So it was
Was
Judd.
it San Diego or San Francisco?
San Francisco, I think. Yeah, that was the one.
That was the one
with
with Puck, right?
Puck, yeah.
But like I said,
Everybody remembers Puck.
It was a great issue. You know what I mean? Where she comes, where she's,
I
have HIV.
I enjoyed a lot of that run, and I think the real reason is you could see it right there, the Phil Hester artwork. I think is that still Phil Hester there? He was doing a lot of that stuff. I love that guy. Judd Winnick, I could throw out a window. I really didn't care. He wrote one thing I liked a lot, The Exiles from Marvel. Other than that, not so great, but 3 great books, so we got him right there.
All following FFA.
Girl.
That's right.
Awesome.
That's right. All following the FFA.
Oh, Sue Dibney.
Sue Dibney, yeah.
Sue Dibney.
Yeah,
Identity Crisis.
Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's the only thing she ever was appearing in.
Do you
Right,
remember?
no, but it would. But I mean, think about what Identity Crisis kicked off.
Yeah, a lot of terrible stuff.
Yeah, you're not going to get him to get excited about that.
Come
Oh,
on.
that book was terrible.
All right. We've been in a great mood so far. 2 shows in a row.
Drawn really well.
We just did one. We just did one about beer, and now we did a fun one here. But we're getting to the end of the show. So, Lou, thanks for sticking around and hanging out and doing a show with us.
Yeah,
that was impromptu, but we got through it all right. And to everybody, seriously, check out these 3 books we just talked about. They're all very cool. We're gonna get some pictures up on the website when we put this episode out. Geez, that's Pine Comics for you, Lou. You want to say the famous? Oh, you have to.
I was gonna say, and just tying it back to the beginning of our show, if you do have high school age kids and are interested in the FFA program in Connecticut, Lyman Hall High School in Wallingford, they are fantastic. The program's great.
Hey.
And I'll tell you what, the FFA has been really good to my daughter. So, and we're tying it back.
And we are not affiliated with FFA in any
No,
way,
we're
shape,
not.
or form. But you know what? It's the right choice. Just like Wilford Brimley would say, it's the right thing to do. John?
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.